Well, hello everyone. So welcome to our Medallia presentation. 大家好，歡迎我哋嚟到Medallia 一個分享。With that further ado, let me start the presentation. Cool. So we're really thrilled and excited to be here with you today to talk about 5 things to stop or start to catch up to your customers. And just an introduction, I'm a director of North Asia for Medallia, and joining me next to me is Jake, head of solutions consulting.
It's great to be with you guys today. So to start, wanted to just give you an illustration here that kind of represents what's going on in the marketplace with customers. This is a massive wave in Shobu, Tahiti that is really representative of what customers are experiencing today. Their needs are big and fast, and they're constantly changing. And the reality is, though, customers, they're not stopping. They're having a fun time with this change and with this transformation. But the problem is, what we're seeing is, companies are kind of sitting and watching the wave. They're not actually in it. They're more on the shoulder of the wave, like these surfers are. And just over the past 5 years, we've seen 42% of the global 100 companies leave the global 100 because of this shift in customer needs. And today, what we want to walk through with you is really give you a surfing lesson on how do you ride this wave of what's changing with customers' needs and expectations, and what do you do to start engaging with customers with this transformation that's going on. So we're going to walk through 5 different things, and these are 5 things that you can do to catch up to your customer. And this is intentionally, we intentionally wrote catch up to your customers because when you're riding a wave, if you've ever surfed before, and you're paddling, you can't go as fast as the wave, but you can catch up to it so that you can ride the wave. And there's some key things that we think will get you thinking on ways to position yourself so that you can start to ride the wave and understand and serve your customers better to drive outcomes. When we think about customer experience, there's a lot of things that you can measure. And today, for our focus, we really want to look at customer journeys as well as touch points in the ways that customers are engaging with you across these journeys with different channels, with different products and people, and what are the things that your organization needs to do in order to be successful and drive the outcomes you're trying to drive, like increased profitability and other things that we'll talk about. So I'm going to pass over to Ray. He's going to share the first thing that we think you should stop doing to really catch up to your customers.
So the first of the 5 things, number 1, stop only focusing on your customers. So this is an interesting one because we're in customer experience and we're actually telling you to not focus on your customers. The reason being, and this is a very typical example within our retail industry, within retail, we're really focused on in the moment. And so it's really easy for us to explore and try to experience different brands. And even if we are loyal to a brand, a lot of different metrics and criteria about what we're seeking for in terms of a product or service can really pull us away. And so this is where we come in to share our thought leadership that we should not only just focus on your customers, but also those who have chose to depart from your brand, and also to try out, explore something new. Here, now, if we are only getting the data signals from just the purchases from the overall customer experience, we're really missing the opportunities to retain and to also increase those conversions. And the data that will actually speak based from your non-purchasing experience compared to the purchasing experience would be very different. And so it's really important to help us for retailers to help provide that more complete and holistic picture by capturing both your customers and also the non-purchasers. Just a caveat, this is going to be difficult as you seek to engage the non-purchasers' feedback, because it's really going to be a little bit more tricky and difficult to gather. But it is very vital and important to actually get this unbiased view so that you have more of the complete holistic picture in terms of how your business is performing.
So I want you to stop and think about, how do you understand your customers today? Those that are, just starting out their customer experience journey, or maybe they've been doing research for a few years. Oftentimes surveys are the way we think about understanding your customers. And we're a customer experience business, and we believe that the traditional survey is dead. If you're focusing on and relying on just email surveys or SMS surveys to understand your customer, you're really missing it. And so, when you think about all the ways they're interacting with you, there's a number of different signals, we call them, or ways to understand your customer that are available with technology today. Direct feedback, getting feedback via email or SMS. There's richer ways that we can do that with video today, which I'll share an example with you. But you think about, if a customer is chatting with you online, or they leave posts on social media, these are indirect forms of feedback that you can start to mine and use to understand, different ways that customers want to engage with you via self-service tools, or problems that they may be having in a different part of the business that is leading them to go to these self-service channels. Your frontline employees are also very close to the customer, and getting their input is extremely valuable for understanding ways that you can innovate the experiences that you deliver to customers based on what they are seeing on the front lines. As an interesting data point, Medallia, we get surveys, we get all kinds of different data from the end customer of our customers. And only about 20% of that is survey data. So the rest of the data that we're consuming is not related to the survey. And some of this is observed behavior. There's a bunch of things that your customers are doing with you today that they expect you to know that. But oftentimes organizations aren't actually looking at that data and tying it into, customer feedback, indirect feedback, or employee data. These are things like, what are they doing on your website? When they have a call with you, what was said in that call? What emotion was triggered in that call? We have speech analytics that can actually analyze the back and forth between the customer and the agent. And this can be used for regulatory compliance, but also just understanding how are we doing as it relates to a service in that form of interaction. And so, when you're thinking about the entirety of the experience, you cannot rely just on surveys. There's so much other data out there, and we'll share some examples of how you can integrate those two in a little bit here for really serving your customers at the highest level. And one of the ways here is that we've seen a large increase in interest amongst customers for giving feedback, as well as for companies in receiving feedback, is through video. Especially as we've become a more virtual world, you can analyze customer sentiment by getting video feedback from them that transcribes their text, that shows you their emotional and facial sentiment during that piece of feedback, and you can actually see the customer in real life. This is something that we've seen a big shift in the way that companies are actually getting feedback from customers.
So point number 3, start getting feedback on signals across all your customer journey. And I'm going to focus on 3 key points here on the current state and growth, and also for innovation. Now, here is a slide that kind of describes in terms of how complex the retail industry operates. Which of them do you currently capture signals on? And where are you currently collecting customer experience today? Now, if your program today is primarily focused towards the end where it's on the purchase in terms of getting the product and using and assisting and growing, and more the post-purchase experience. Then what about all the experiences and the touch points and the journeys before that, all the non-purchase journeys that are missing? And also today, with in light of the current changes and dynamics in business and how we work and within the retail industry, what are the new channels that are growing, and where your customers are also really seeking to see you also in those new different channels? This ties in onto the growth aspect. If you don't meet your customers where they are today and where they like to be, and in light with COVID, all things digital, then you will miss out on those growth opportunities. Hence why it is so important to have the agility, to have new listening tools for you to grow and to seek and to engage those customers in those new different channels. I'll share with you a recent news that Nike has shared. They recently announced that now 30% of all their sales are coming from digital. Now, this is previously a goal that they've set out to be achieved by 2023. So essentially, their digital transformation strategies have fast forwarded by 2 to 3 years. Now, the more that you start to collect data in these new channels, then naturally the better that you become and be well positioned to enhance those experience on the overall journey, so that you can continue to earn your customers' trust and loyalty. This leads on to innovation. So the more that you learn and to figure things out and how you create attractive and new ways and engaging customers in those channels, then the quicker that you are able to adapt and innovate as compared to your competition, so that hopefully that you can continue to build on that loyalty and trust and to create more raving fans, so that you can set up your business for success.
So how many of you have here, just think to yourself, how many of you have heard digital transformation? Or maybe your company is talking about, we got a digital transformation going on. Last year, McKinsey did a study on digital transformations and found that 70% of money that's invested in digital transformation is wasted. And it doesn't lead to any uptick in sales or savings reductions. Now, I want to talk to you about how you can actually integrate customer feedback and digital in a really simple way to drive outcomes. There's a retailer that we work with in the United States who came to us with a pretty significant challenge. They had declining same-store growth. E-commerce sales were declining as well. Their marketing strategy was really this buffet strategy where they just sent the same thing out to everyone. And they had a fairly high cost of acquisition. The CMO said, hey, I need to figure out, how do I increase our customer acquisition? How do we do more with our customers? So, how can we increase the average basket size? And then, this whole cost of acquisition thing, it's pretty expensive for what we're getting. How do we lower this cost? And so they came to Medallia, and we actually manage their customer experience, and they have over 400,000 promoters in their business, customers that provide a 9 or a 10 on their likelihood to recommend this retailer to their friends and family. And so the retailer just spent over a weekend. They sent out a survey to about customer-centric growth ideas to this group of customers. And they got tens of thousands of responses on these different initiatives. And one of them was on a friends and family referral program. And over half the people that responded to this said, you know what, if you had a referral program, I'd love it. And it'd be great, especially if they can get credit and I can also get credit. So the way it worked was they launched this new initiative of this referral program where a current customer will go in, make a purchase, and if they leave feedback via Medallia, and it's a promoter, so they're happy about their experience with this retailer, they give a 9 or a 10. that data goes back into CRM. Goes back into CRM no matter what, but if it's a 9 or a 10, that triggers a friend and family referral email campaign. And this email campaign was actually had the highest open rates of any email campaign this retailer ran over this past year. And the way it would work is the customer can then share that referral code on social media, or within the email, there were ways that they could share with friends and family. And when a customer then uses that referral code when making a purchase, the credit goes to both the current customer and the new customer. And if that new customer is happy with that experience, they get asked for feedback, and they also get then an opportunity to refer friends and family. Very simple approach, right? It's integrating feedback and things that are going on digitally. But the results were substantial. They saw, a declining new customer growth year over year, change to having 27% increase in new customers just through this program. They also, changed from being more of just a buffet strategy for marketing campaigns to personalizing emails and messages with the customer feedback. And they saw their average order size increase by $47 US. They also saw a reduction in cost per acquisition, because now you have your the friends and family of happy customers referring this business to them. And so their cost per acquisition dropped from $137 to $50. And lastly, they added 230,000 new promoters to their business that now go out and they're happy working with this retailer and are telling their friends and family about the great experiences that they've had. So, you think about the different pieces of data that you have, the ways you're marketing to customers. When you can pull in feedback, you can drive some very significant results. This is just one of the simple ways that we've worked with our customers to do that. So Ray, we'll hand it over to you for the last one here.
Cool. So we'll come on to our last point of the 5 things to do to catch up to your customers. And the last point that we have and I'd like to share with you is start using your CX program as a real-time self-coaching tool for employees. Now, with all the changes around us, we simply just don't have the luxury of time, whether it's days, weeks, or the months, to create new training materials and programs for your employees in terms of how they can essentially operate in this new normal. And as over the past recent months, and we've spoken with organizations across all these different industries, the very nature of the employees and staff who work for a number of these organizations, whether it's retail or beyond, the jobs have fundamentally changed a lot. And so simply by just having a tool to collect your net promoter scores or overall satisfaction scores simply just doesn't help. So the key point here is don't just think about a customer experience program as just a survey, because it can help you in many more ways. Now here is actually actual data from one of our existing customers, and we share, and just to kind of briefly describe what this is really the correlation between a warm welcome and the spend by the different age groups. The red bars that you see are the overall average transaction amount per customer that received no warm welcome. And the green bar shows the average transaction amount by those who have actually received a warm welcome. And so you can see there's a significant positive correlation in terms of those who do receive a warm welcome are naturally spending more through just purchasing additional products. And so this really helps to guide some of the behaviors and actions for your employees and staff to take. Now, and you can imagine this as an example of a data dashboard that your employees can log on every day, every morning and throughout the day, and to have this data to be refreshed with lifetime customer data. And this is how essentially your employees can use a customer experience program for self-coaching, because they can now see and continue to drive those behaviors that are leading to more positive business outcomes. On the other hand, from an organization perspective, this is great because no longer are organizations asking employees, go bring us more net promoter scores or go bring us more overall customer satisfaction scores. Instead, you're guiding your employees towards driving higher levels of behavior and action in the areas that matter. And this dashboard can be customized and adapted to your various different businesses or different types of operations that you are in within retail. And so with clear and actionable goals, your employees will also have an improved employee experience, making a more delightful experience along the way for your overall customers. So start using your customer experience program as a real-time self-coaching tool so that your employees can focus on deliver those right behaviors, driving further business outcomes.
All right. So before we get to Q&A, I just wanted to recap here on if when you're thinking about the wave that's coming with customers and how quickly it's their needs and their desires are changing. Don't just focus on your customers. There's a lot that you can learn from people who aren't purchasing from you. And there's a lot of revenue that you can drive as a result of understanding why. There's a lot of different pieces of data out there today, and focusing just on surveys is missing it. So look at how you can integrate other forms of data that customers that you have on your customers to help make decisions on operational changes you can make in different ways you can serve customers. Also, look at all the different parts of the customer journey. There's tons of signals that you can capture, but as Ray shared with Nike, it's a perfect example of how the customer is changing today. A goal they had for 2023 on their digital properties is now being achieved today as a result of how customers are changing the way they're engaging with businesses. And so think about what signals you should be getting or what ways you should be getting feedback and data on your customers based on how they're interacting with you. We also, it's very important to integrate your customer experience data and feedback with other forms of data, because this is super impactful for personalizing marketing messages and also just better understanding the experiences customers are having with you. And lastly, CX is a way for coaching, both self-coaching at the front lines where customers can see feedback from customers that they have served, like every Apple frontline employee is able to see when they open Medallia at their stores, as well as helping managers know, how do I train my employees to serve our customers at the highest possible level. Now, we had a question come through here that I wanted to answer that was around how do you actually integrate different kinds of customer data, such as interviews, surveys, website tracking, etc. So Medallia has an open API that allows us to integrate with different platforms like point of sale systems, could be property management systems for a hotel or CRM or Adobe Analytics. And when we tie in those systems, we can push data back and forth. But oftentimes our customers will have, CRM data, they'll have, digital data coming in from Adobe and or other platforms that you can see when you're reaching back out to a customer. How do you actually reach out to that customer, like based on the interactions they've had with you, as well as on the flip side, using customer feedback to drive how you email customers and what kinds of things that you want to message to them. Really appreciate the time today. There's a additional reading that will be shared out on 5 ways to experience signals, or 5 ways experience signals are shaping the future of customer experience. So go to our website, Medallia.com, in our resources library, and you can find this. If there's any other questions, I'm not sure that I see any. Do Medallia come together with e-commerce solution, or can we integrate Medallia with our existing? Yeah, so we can integrate with your e-commerce solution and platform. It's a very common use case for actually post-purchase or non-purchasers getting feedback on that experience, so that you can understand why customers are or are not purchasing from you. So we can integrate with that as well. Looks like we are up on time. If there's any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Ray and myself directly. Thanks a lot for your time, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.